right, so this is our first content lecture for this course. And what we're going to be looking at is an overview of personality overall, and also how it is that we test personality, how we measure it, how we test for it, like personality tests, many of which you will be taking this semester. Okay, so a really interesting overall question in psychology is, are people more similar or are they more different? So when you respond to something, is your response determined mostly by the social situation, or is it determined by your individual personality? Okay? Well, let's look at a particular situation here. This is a disturbing photograph of what past news event. Okay, so that was the Boston Marathon bombing and the two brothers who were responsible for it. Now, if you think about it, how people were reacting when they first heard about this, it really seems like the social situation defines people's reactions. In other words, they all seem to react pretty much the same. So most everybody reacted with shock and dismay. Everybody had a tendency to want to talk to people in their life, you know, at the dinner table, over the cell phone, texting. Everybody was glued to the news. But then, within a few days, something really interesting emerged over those few days. So people reacted very differently in the following few days. So some people did remain really glued to the news, but other people purposely would turn their television off when they saw these images. They didn't want to be constantly bombarded with them over and over again. Some people focused on the victims and what they could do to help, like give blood or donate money. Some people focused on the criminals and felt, you know, building anger and anxiety and this desire for revenge. Okay? So when we look at really extreme events like this, it might appear at first that the social situation, you know, determines how people respond. But if we look a little bit further in time, a little later after that event, initial shock at least of that event, we see individual differences more and more emerging. So the answer to that question, is it the social situation or the person? It's really both. That's why we have social psychology and we also have personality psychology. I also teach social psychology, by the way, if you haven't taken that yet. So, personality psychology. What I want to do here first is define personality. Make sure that we're all singing out of the same hymn book here. So what I mean when I say personality, well, let me give you a quick and dirty definition first. A really shorthand definition, which is individual differences. So you're going to hear that a lot this semester in your book, in lectures. We talk about individual differences as defining personality. But that really is a shorthand definition, and I want you to know a more technical and helpful definition, okay, also. And that is, okay, personality is a durable and pervasive way of being. Personality is a durable and pervasive way of being. Those two words are really important, so let's talk about each. Durable, meaning that this is not just due to some phase that you're going through right now. This is going to be fairly consistent throughout your life. If you're, for instance, high in extroversion, you're going to be high in extroversion years down the road. If you're low in extroversion, you're going to be relatively low the rest of your life. So durable. A durable and pervasive way of being. And what we mean by pervasive is this is not just the way that you act at work or at school or just the way you act at home or with your friends. This, you know, your personality affects how you act across all situations in life. It pervades all those areas of your life. So durable and pervasive way of being. Okay. Now, what does your personality consist of? Well, it consists of the unique constellation of personality traits that describe you. Okay, what's a personality trait? Well, there's actually over 4,000 of them in the English language. Over 4,000. Okay, so maybe you're kind, or somebody could be cruel, right? Loyal is another one. Dishonest, lazy, patient. Somebody might be aggressive, another person might be particularly nurturing. You might want to pause this video for a minute and see if you can come up with a few more out of 4,000. I'll bet you can. Okay, now most research in personality psychology, most research is what we call correlational research. Okay, you heard about this in Psych 101, but let's review that. When we say correlational research, what are we looking for with that kind of research? Okay, and if you're thinking a relationship, you are correct. Watch my pointer here. If you look in the word, this phrase correlational research, you see this word embedded in here, relation. Okay, so you're looking for a possible relationship between a couple of factors. So you might wonder, for instance, if a particular personality type is related to a particular health problem. Okay, and that would be a type of research that would be conducive to correlational study. Hey, why not experimental? So if you've taken a lot of other psych courses, you might have picked up by now that most research in psychology is actually experimental. That's kind of like the Cadillac of all research, right? But we can't always do an experiment. So when we talk about personality psychology being correlational research, it really comes down to how you do it. Okay, and why this is true. So when you do, let's say you've got two factors. When you do correlational research, okay, you simply measure them both because you want to see if there's a relationship. In other words, if one tends to be up for somebody, does the other tend to be down? Or does the other tend to also be up? Or is there no way of predicting what the other one will be? Is it related to it? Knowing the score on one will help us predict the score on the other. Okay? It's very different in how we do experimental research. You may still only have two factors, but they're then a dependent variable and an independent variable. And you might remember from Psych 101 that your independent variable has to be manipulated. Okay? So you have to change it for different groups. And if you think about, is your certain kind of personality susceptible to a certain health problem, well, that means that you would have to make some people a certain personality, which is not something that we can do. So that is the reason why most research in personality psychology is correlational. But we're going to look at some really cool relationships this semester. But keep this limitation of correlational research in mind. You might remember also from Psych 101 that the main limitation of correlational research is it doesn't tell us cause. Okay? So it might be, for instance, that a certain personality type makes somebody more vulnerable to a particular illness. But it also could be that a particular illness causes somebody to have a certain kind of personality. Okay? So keep that limitation in mind, that correlational research does not tell us about causation.